Good morning, good morning. If you're a replayer, you can still participate. You can tap on the screen for hearts. You can share with anybody that you think needs to hear this message. And of course, you can find me on Twitter or Snapchat if you want to interact and ask me any questions. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my daily Money Habits broadcast. My name is Joannazarach. I broadcast every single morning. I'm going to turn this off. I broadcast every single morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, Happy Daylight Savings Time, and I talk about money habits. I also do a Money Matters broadcast a couple times a week, usually at 5 p.m. Central, to dive deeply into a financial thing. Good morning, Sandy, and I am. Today's topic, what I want to talk about, in general, I talk about just getting a sense of developing habits around your money. And why is this important? Thank you for inviting followers. Why is it important? Developing a money habit is really understanding how money works, but then also doing something every day with your money. It's really about paying attention. It's actually, and today I want to talk about priorities when it comes to your money. And thank you for sharing it on Twitter. When it comes to your money, so the thing about the thing I talk about a lot is financial freedom. And the reason I focus on financial freedom rather than just retirement, good morning, how are you? Is because retirement is really far off. And so a few months ago, I actually posed a question to someone that studies behavior, and part of a group in Chicago that tries to design products for people. Hi, how are you? Welcome, everybody. And I try to get people to. I asked her a question. I said, "Why is it so difficult for people to save or to connect with that retirement goal?" She says it's really hard for people to kind of relate to their future self. And I was reading an article again a couple days ago. Yes, thank you, and they're joining. I thank you so much for inviting. I'm getting a big viewership. So thank you so much, Sandy, for joining this. I love Sandy's broadcasts. I join her message. I actually support everyone who is trying to spread money messages across, whether it's Periscope, Twitter. I'm still new to social media, like literally 4 months in. Yeah, no one, and we have trouble relating, right? Like I'm mid-age, I'm middle-aged, and I said, it's really hard for people to relate to their older self. And I was reading an article that talked about how our future self is like a different person in our mind, and we actually assign them jobs we don't want to do. Hi, how are you? Good morning, everybody. If you're just new to me, my name is Joannazarach, and I do a daily money habits broadcast at 10 a.m. Central. I've been doing it since October. I do them 7 days a week. And I talk about developing better money habits and paying attention to money. And I try to break down money concepts down to everyone and talk about and really like do the math behind it, really try to let people know how money works and how they need to handle it. And then the reason I talk about financial freedom, because financial freedom is something that can be achieved sooner. So when you are trying to save for retirement, it is so far off that most people are so disconnected with their future self. So I decided to bring it forward. I said, you know what? Financial freedom is actually something that's achievable much faster and much sooner. And what happens is if you're relating to yourself 5 to 10 years from now, that future self, that future self is like, you can fast forward it and you say, okay, I'm not trying to change my priorities for retirement for when I'm old and I'm like not doing anything and I'm not working. I instead want people to focus on something much sooner. So one of the things I'm trying to convert everyone from being a consumer to investor. 2 things. One is it gives you a plan. It gives you somewhere to put your money besides handing it over to someone else in exchange for goods or services. When you become an investor, you start thinking differently. The other thing I'm trying to get people to do is think of their household like a corporation. So run your household like a business, like you would a business. That means you need to know your, profit and loss. You need to know your cash flow. You need to apply some of these concepts to your personal life, and I can guarantee you it'll get you ahead. So first of all, just thinking about money consciously, then talking about money, then doing something about money is going to put you in a better position. So, and thank you for all the hearts. So why is it that I talk about financial freedom, and why do you? Yes, that's right. Be the CFO, but not just the CEO. Then be the CFO or someone, especially in partnerships. I find like when people join, when people become partners with someone, sometimes those jobs get lost. Like no one gets assigned a job. Like make sure someone's the CFO of your household and the chief procurement officer, right? And have a strategy and have these meetings. And I know it's like you're like, oh, but personal life should be so easy and everything. And you're like, no, if you want to succeed, so this is my point. If you want to be financially successful in life, yeah, you've got to have a C-suite, and you've got to, and if you're lacking skills, by the way someone becomes an executive, it's they acquire skills along the way, and people who are just like technically in one, they just have one technical aspect that they're good at, they never make it to the C-suite. Most executives, since I work for Fortune 500 as a consultant, most executives have to kind of go off their core competency and learn a side skill. And they don't have to be expert at it, right? You don't have to be an accounting expert, but you need to know how money works, right? If you're going to ever be in an executive position. If you're not a salesperson, you need to know how sales works. You need to know the technical aspect of your product. But anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. But that's something that I encourage people to do. So the topic of the day is the financial freedom has to be a priority for you if you're going to achieve it, right? And what is it that I mean by that? Is that you need to want it so bad that you start making choices that align with it. And choices, it's how you spend your time, right? So priorities are all about, you can talk all you want about what your priorities are, but your priorities are where you spend your time. And then, of course, what I think follows is where you spend your money, right? And so I interact with a lot of different communities, whether it be sort of digital entrepreneurs, obviously the more seasoned executives, the more traditional corporate folks. And by the way, when you're in the digital entrepreneur space, you think everyone like lives away to try to make more money. And that's actually a very, very small percentage of people. So I'm trying to get people in any that they get their income no matter what, no matter what way. And I think entrepreneurs are actually advantaged in some ways because they have now convinced themselves they're in control of making money. But what happens with the entrepreneurs is that they overinvest, and I do say they overinvest in themselves and their business. And so I argue you need to diversify, you need to look at the history at large of how people make and then retain their wealth, right? Because to me, financial freedom is not about just what you make. It's not about the cash flow. It's about asset accumulation. And I feel very strongly about it. And I know that not everybody does. Yeah, you got to diversify. Like you are an asset, by the way. If you think of yourself, your business, whatever it is, however you generate income, you are one of your best income producing assets, but you shouldn't be the only one, right? If you've been with me before, but if you've not, I've talked about the big five levers to determine if you're ever, that's right. It's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? It's not just what you make. So I talk about income as being the biggest lever. So income's the number one lever when it comes to wealth accumulation, because I'll be honest, if you don't have enough income, it's really, really hard to hold on to money. Like I sit down with families and I try to help them with the financial plan, or just like help them figure out their money, what I call the money plan. And if you don't have enough money coming in, it is extremely difficult to become an accumulator. Now, it's not impossible. We all know like story of somebody who just had a regular job, but they put money away consistently from the beginning, that they accumulated over time. But most people will struggle if they can't solve the income problem, the income equation. So income is going to be the number one lever, but it's not the only one, because if you make $500,000 and spend $499,000 of it, you're still keeping on like just $1,000. And so it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So income. Number two is taxation. So it's actually this morning I'm thinking, as I'm playing with my 4-year-old, and I'm thinking, I know that there are parents who are like, oh, enjoy your kids and everything. I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't always. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like me going, enjoy taxes, because I enjoy taxes. So not everyone needs to enjoy taxation, but you need to understand it. So after income, taxation is the number 2 lever that'll determine your wealth building and your wealth accumulation. If you do not understand how taxation works, and I don't care how you feel about taxes, that's irrelevant. You need to understand, to be like a participant in our society, how taxation works. It has its purpose, it has a goal, but you need to understand how it works and how taxation impacts different income streams. And so I've been like learning about taxes for 20 years. I've always been fascinated because I love rules and numbers. And so, thank you for inviting your followers. And Brick House Chic. And so number 3 is investing, right? So that's why I'm saying I'm trying to get people to move from the consumer mindset to investor mindset, because once you become an investor, you start thinking about money differently. You just, yeah, the IRS is a complex beast, but if you actually if you embrace taxation instead of like dreading it, then you start understanding and it's some of it is long-term planning, right? But some of it is just taking advantage of the tax code, just utilizing it as a resource, as another way to accumulate wealth faster. For cash flow challenged people, which means when you don't have a lot of cash flow, a lot of spare cash, I'm telling you that tax deductions are one of the most important things that you need to start paying attention to. Whether it's your flexible spending account, whether it's a traditional 401k, traditional IRA, you need to figure out all the different ways in which you can deduct, you can reduce your taxable income. So 3 is investing, and please learn about investing. Start learning. You don't have to become a master investor. You don't have to know everything about stocks. You don't have to know much at all. What you need to do is give yourself the confidence to say, I am an investor. How do you do that? You need to understand how the tax code works. So first of all, once you're on Social Security, right? So that's so obviously that's kind of like an annuity that you're getting, right? It's a guaranteed income. But unless you're truly disabled and truly not able to do any work, I would still explore and say, what type of work is sustainable for you, right? What can you do to create more income, even if you're on Social Security, right? And so, really follow people need to get more creative and more open-minded when it comes to financial flows, how money flows. But so taxation is really understanding how earned income is taxed versus capital gains income versus even a small business owner income, and really knowing all the pieces of the equation, and then saying, okay, I need to put away. And again, when you're struggling with the income, when it barely covers your cash flows out, it's really, really difficult. And I have done some taxation. So I cover taxation in some of my Money Matters because it's kind of an in-depth topic and not everybody's interested. Anyway, back to my number 4. So after investing, and everyone should become an investor, number 4 is big purchases. A lot of people get focused around big purchases as their goal. Again, making financial freedom a top priority versus I want to own this house, or I want to own this car, or I want to have a certain lifestyle. Those cost money. Those will take up your assets, and they are and you will consume them. And you need to really think through how big purchases will impact your ability to become financially free and financially independent. And number 5 is risk. With investment properties, right? It's like you've got to use your assets. She's using a capital asset base to generate additional income. And you've got to be, right? You've got to learn about it, right? Hi, how are you? It's not just, you're not going to just put some money out there and get a rental property and have it, lower tax base, right? She's right. She's working the system because it's not the same earned income, and you've got a lot of deductions you can take, right? The minute you understand the way that what is income and what isn't, and what is deductible against, oh my God, neither. Who am I? My name is Joanna. I talk about money. I talk about being smarter with your money and developing money habits and paying attention to it. And so, but risk is one of the things that people underestimate in terms of planning. So risk is something that can put you out of your path, off your path to financial freedom right away. And what do I talk about risk? So one is I talked about diversification. If your entire financial plan is you or your business that heavily depends on you, and something happens to you, your path to financial freedom is really, really thrown off. And that's why I say diversify, because you cannot be the only person generating income. You need to have investments. You need to have a rental property. You need to make the money work for you in whatever investment aspect you do. That's awesome, right? Like that's actually reaching like your credit score up to 800. That's awesome because you want to be in a position if you need to access. So like risk management, like having a high credit score, that's a good risk management piece because you have access to credit. And by the way, you just could get credit lines when you don't need them, right? Like open a credit card without using it, right? Or without having to use it. Get your side business going, right? Get a source of income because if you have a side business, if you have a regular job and you have a side business, you're going to learn more. Learn more about how business works, right? Or how, what the tax implications of business ownership are. That's right. That's right. You've got to, if you want to leverage credit, you definitely need to know about credit scores and what goes into it and how to be smart about it. But you don't, again, only access credit when it's going to make you money, right? Like when it's an investment. Don't access credit because you want to do something, you want to have a consumable that you can't afford. I was actually reading about credit, different countries in Europe and how much credit they have, like how much personal credit card debt people have in those countries. And it really concerns me. Like credit needs to be used when you're trying to capitalize on an idea as an investment or a business. Then not buy stupid things. I mean, it's like, but this is what happens. If your financial freedom is a priority in your life, that is where your money is going to follow. You can't just say it is. You have to do, right? You have to go, I don't really need that. Or you need to be aware. It's not about deprivation. I'm not trying to be the person who's like, you can never have anything. Like, have it, but understand where it falls in your priorities, right? Like, did you fund all your accounts before? Did you put your money towards investments? And then say, if you want more, how can you earn more money to get that, right? Again, you've got to unlock your thinking around money, how it comes, but then you got to be more conscientious about where it goes. And if financial freedom is a priority, you're going to set aside a whole chunk of your money towards your financial freedom goals. And then you're going to invest it. And the reason I kind of like the traditional 401ks, and don't get me wrong, I like my Roth investments, but I like tax favored accounts. Why? Because no one collects on those at the end of the year, right? When that money makes me money, that's right. I've been maxing everything out since I was 22. Just like that's the attitude I adopted. You really only need one kidney. That is true, but I wouldn't go selling your kidney unless you're being very altruistic. And so, you can, so the thing is that if you put those investments in, and sometimes people are so concerned about not having access to your money, but that's the thing, like, manage your risk elsewhere, right? And so, right. Like I took this upon myself when I was young. Like when I discovered it at the IRA at 22, with the thrift savings plan. Is thrift savings, is that in the US? I think so. So I think allocation's less important than participation, right? So maximum contribution is where people should be focusing on. I'm in Chicago. And so maximum of government 401k, yeah. So like, make sure you're maxing those things. Make sure you're maximizing your contributions. The allocation matters less, right? Like the markets are the markets. I always think of myself as I'm on the Warren Buffett school of thought. Lowest fees possible when it comes to your investments. That's why I say do it yourself. The minute you hire someone to make you feel better about investing, they will take portion of your money. And so, yeah, Carrie Pink's doing great stuff on investing. Definitely follow her. So start looking into it, right? Like, and sometimes people's eyes glaze over when they read like the prospectus. Try to just understand the basic things. And by the way, if you know someone, a colleague that you have that's in the same plan, find someone who's more interested than you in that and just say, look, let's look at this. Or what do you have? Talking about money with other people, it will definitely help you educate yourself. Just asking the question and trying to figure it out with another person is going to get you much further ahead than just being quiet and worrying about it yourself. So try to read it. If it's completely boring to you, try engage another person in conversation. Maybe there's someone in your department that's in your I don't know if there's someone as a resource, but talk about it, ask them, right? And so look at what you have and try to just understand the base. You don't have to understand it 100%. You're gonna get an idea of what am I ranting about here? Financial freedom. And if you make financial freedom your priority, then you are going to put more time and money into following financial freedom. So anyway, but that's really the message for today, is that financial freedom has to be a top priority for you to achieve it. It's where it can't be the last thing, right? Everyone's like, if you have some money left over, then you save. That is the absolute wrong attitude. If you make your investment first, so depends on the financial planner. I do have opinions on it. So financial planners come in all shapes and sizes. Do some research. Actually, if you go to financialmentor.com, I find that he has a really great way, Todd Tressler, he breaks down sort of the differences around different financial planners, financial coaches. So a financial planner, financialmentor.com, he's fantastic. I love Todd Tressler. He's fabulous. He talks about it. He breaks it down in really simple language. So financial planners come in all shapes and sizes. So if you actually have to write a check to the financial planner to make a financial plan for you, that's like fee only. Some that are fee only, fee based. There's just like minor differences in the words they use. But if you actually have to pay for the service they provide to make you a plan, that's actually a really good investment. If you don't have to pay, he's all over this. I love Todd. He's fabulous. By the way, I support everyone in the financial community. I support anyone and everyone that I discover in the financial community, because, by the way, I'm just one person and you're one person and he's one person, and we all need to, everyone who's committed to teaching other people about money needs to band together. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing, because I think like we have such a gap in this area in the U.S. alone, let alone the world, and in our cities and in our towns. And so, okay, back to financial planner. If you don't have to pay for your financial plan, that means that person's going to try to sell you something that's probably not the best for you in the long term. So because you need to know how that person makes money, right? Yes, anyone talking about finances, that's right. Save to build and invest, right? And you got to understand it, because if you hand it over to someone else, means I don't want to think about it. What makes that person more qualified than you to look after your money? By the way, you're the one that's going to be the most interested in your money, and you should be. The minute you hand it over to someone, and again, it's not that they're bad people. They're going to put you in investments that are okay, but they're going to take some of it, right? That's their fee. So for the financial planner, always ask how they get paid, and understand. You just click on the little person on the right, and then you could share, and I think share with your followers. That's right. You should be more interested. You got to look out after your money. And so I think most people don't understand sort of how financial industry works and how they make their money. They make a lot of money. 1 to 2% of your assets is a lot of money over your lifetime. That's right. Or at least give the knowledge so they're not taking over your head. That's right. You need to educate yourself. If you're just like, no, I just want someone else to take care of it, that's what's going to happen. You have to be in control. You have got to get in control. That's right. Celebrities and anybody with money, like people with money, and like the predators come out in droves, right? And again, it's not to say that people are poorly meaning. Like, people do want to help, but they have what's their interest in it, right? If they're trying to sell you something, only for medicinal purposes. And so whatever helps you through the day, man. And so, so understand how a financial planner makes their money. and then make a decision about it. Make a decision on how you gotta take it in stride, and you gotta do whatever makes you, if that helps you through the day. You've gotta just understand how it works. So don't you gotta educate yourself about how money works today more than ever. So 20 years ago when I started investing, there was no information. There was very little people talking about it. I literally was reading maybe, I was just going on pure instinct. Taxes aren't good or evil. Taxes are just are, because, we're not gonna, there's people who we're charitable, we're just gonna help people that are in need. Few people, right? Today is easier to invest than ever. Taxes play a part in our society. I've seen taxes do very good things for us. So anyway. Yeah, that's right. Where I talk to money, I'm like a crazy person. Anyone that wants to talk about money, I'm like, I'll talk to you about money. You have a question, I have no judgment. I don't come with a perspective of where people should be. I just want to educate. The five levers that impact your wealth building are income. You've got to figure out income. Without income, there really isn't. That's right. There's no excuse, but you have to take action, right? And you have to make it a priority. Where you spend your time and where you spend your money is where your priorities are. So examine your spending, and examine if you never tracked your time. I've done my time tracking before, and you know what happened? I was watching too much TV, and I just stopped. I just stopped watching crappy television because I was spending hours on television. So track your time, track your money. But anyway, the five levers of wealth building are income, number 1, taxation, number 2, investing, number 3, big purchases, especially when they're consumables and not investments, and then risk management. So, when you stop watching TV, all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? And you go, you know what? Check your money. That's always say, on Mondays I talk about Mint. So if you tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m., I talk about Mint like an obsessed person, because it's a free tool. It's backed by Intuit. It's just a good place to go and track your money. You check your Facebook, you check your Twitter, you check your email. You need to check your Mint account. Check it every day. It takes 1 to 5 minutes, and it's free, right? I love free. I'm free or cheap, right? Free or low cost. Mint Monday, that's right. Mint it on Monday. Mint your money. Mint, I love Mint. I've been using it for years now, and I highly recommend it. There are other tools that are more specific for specific goals, but Mint's probably the best comprehensive tool when it comes to tracking your money and tracking your net worth. I love it. It has all the components. And by the way, I've seen Mint start to invest again in its platform. It didn't change for years, and in the last 6 months, that's right. And if you read I've read some articles where personal finance bloggers were surveyed for their best tool. Mint, hands down, every single one of them, right? Or if they didn't, they were they're oh, I use my own tool that I try to sell, right? But everyone else, it's oh, Mint, of course. So I've checked myself to make sure I'm not just talking, out of my, out of left field. Use Mint. But those are the 5 things. And again, if you don't make your financial freedom your priority, and you cannot just talk about it, you cannot just talk about wanting to have more money and wanting to be financially free. You have to start acting on it. You have to learn about it, and you need to make your money follow your path that you think you want. And what is it? By the way, financial freedom it's a function of accumulation, and it's also a function of your lifestyle spending. Right? If you want to live a lifestyle that requires $400,000 a year to live on, which is by the way very, very expensive, you're going to have a really, really, really big pot. But a pot of money, if you want to just be free to do whatever you want with your time, including work, give your money. Your money needs a job, because when it doesn't have a job, it gets lazy. Not only that, it leaves you because you didn't give it anything. So it's you don't need me. I'm going to go away. And so people spend money mindlessly. It just leaves their hands because they just haven't, they don't have anything to do with it. But when you invest, there's money getting out. That's right. Yeah, it's like a relationship. If you ignore people, they will leave you. If you ignore your money, it will leave you. Ignore your money, it will leave you. And so you need to just you need to have a good relationship with your money. That's right. And so make it a priority. And that's really the message for Sunday. Sunday savor Sunday. So I always talk about financial freedom because you got to savor it. And the point about cash flow out, it's well known. So you know, look at the studies. Studies show $75,000 a year, and after that you don't get any more happy. So to be happy, and I've done this calculation, other people have done this calculation, so I've checked myself. To be happy for the rest of your life at $75,000 a year, and again, it doesn't mean not working, it just means being free from the burden of worrying about bills and the basic things in life. It's about $2.5 million. And then be like, oh, it'd be nice to have that money, all the things I would buy with it. It's like, well, you just missed the point. You just missed the point. If I ask you, what would you do with $100,000, and you just start making a list of all the things you would spend your money on, then you've missed my point. You've missed the point about financial freedom. Financial freedom is to never have to worry about money ever again. And it's not to say you don't work, and it's not to say you don't pursue things, you don't have a purpose. There's a new study, it's gone past 75K. Well, you know what? It's inflation, right? But let's say it's 100, right? Then that's 3 million. And you're like, oh, throwing these numbers around. It's just math. Yeah, I can see that, because healthcare costs are going up and education costs are going up. So that's actually really jacking up our needs. Like, people think of big purchases and they think of house and cars. I add education and healthcare to it. Education and healthcare are huge, huge purchases in our lifetime. They just don't happen they don't have a price tag and you don't sign on the dotted line and get something. But education's getting super expensive. By the way, it doesn't have to be, because you can get more education now that's free and it's available and it's based on your time. So really evaluate education before you purchase it. Make research about the return you're going to get on investment and what you're buying. And healthcare, and again, I know healthcare is a necessity, but you need to understand that that's going to be a big. The longer we live, the bigger healthcare is going to be in terms of purchases. So that's also something to incorporate in your big purchases thing. And so I'm probably going to start cycling through some of the topics. I've talked about healthcare a lot, how it's a big purchase, and how you can mitigate it with some of the tax-free accounts or tax-free money. But you need to plan for it. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, I know, and it's like, what's the ROI on that? Return on investment. It's really, really bad. And especially the for-profit institutions that make it borrowing for your education so easy, those are predatory. They are not there for your interest. They figured out, they're like, wait a minute, the government's going to lend people money. We can collect it all, give you a degree, and then you're on the hook. I mean, it's a brilliant business model. From a business perspective, you're like, wow, that is a brilliant, I had a friend a few years ago, and she wanted to, finish her college degree, and she was applying to these different for-profit schools, and man, they were hounding her, and she had the money to pay for that education, but they were like, we want to get you on the loan, and she's like, but I don't want a loan, and they were confused, because they were like, everyone takes out loans for their education, and she's like, but I have the money, I could just write you a check, and it was like, that's the mill. And people don't get it. They don't understand it. We need to go out there and tell people, right? So before you know anyone, and I'm all for education. I'm heavily educated. But understand it. I have a doctorate, so I have opinions on PhD programs, but anyway, I am not using my, it's fabulous, right? But yeah, make sure you are getting scholarships or grants, and then you also figure out a plan, start making your income plan now, right? Like, how are you going to get more income from that degree? Because it's going to get it, sorry about it. And so, if you watch the replay, hopefully it'll be better. I had to close the door. So maybe my Wi-Fi is a little bit wanky, but I haven't seen any issues. Anyhow, I know I'm ranting a little bit, and thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much for inviting your followers and everybody that's invited their followers. Yes, investigate the field. You know what the best thing you can do, and people don't do it because they're scared. Ask someone who's already successful in the field if you can talk to them for a half hour. If you can shadow them, if you can ask them questions, insightful questions about their financial situation. A lot of times, thank you. A lot of times people don't understand student loan debt is real, and so, okay. I'm on every single day, guys. 10 a.m. Central Time, 7 days a week. I haven't missed a day since October and I should say tomorrow it's probably going to 10:15 because one of my clients scheduled a call where I was like, you can schedule a call at 9 or 10:30. And they were like, how about 9:30? And I was like, But you know what? I don't want to be like messing with people's schedules. So tomorrow I might be a little bit late, but since October 20th, when I first like got on Periscope, I'm on every single day, like nonstop, 7 days a week, because I'm committed. This is how important this is to me. I get, at this point, I still get nothing from it. Daily money habits. I dive deeply on money matters where I actually research a topic and I talk about it in depth. And I do a lot of like calculations on my spreadsheets. And I actually do the math to try to convince you. I don't try to sell you on things and I don't try to sell anything. Thank you so much. I just love this topic and I'm a money and math nerd. I'm one of those kids in high school and because Sandy, I love watching Sandy. So I'm an immigrant, right? So I was like the typical immigrant. Like I was in math contests, my math was way ahead of my peers. So, oh Jesus. So I'm really into math, and what I'm doing actually is taking my math skills. Ignore my 4-year-old jumping behind me. I'm taking my math skill, my money skills, and my consulting skills, and I'm combining them with my passion to help people, and I'm combining them all because I feel like people are not, typical, right? Yeah, that's right? Because, our parents had to sacrifice so much when they moved here, and so you value that, you value money more, you have a different set of values around debt, and, but you know what, my parents, I'm still trying to educate my parents about money every single day, it seems, or so every single year. I'm always like trying to get them more interested in investing and stuff. But they're a little bit scared. They're a little scared of money because when you didn't have, when it was so hard to come by. The sacrifice teaches you early. And that's what I always tell people. One of the biggest advantages that I know is I know how to live poor because I lived poor. So to me, like, I don't really value, like I've had whatever, I worked hard enough where I've have things, but I know how to live poor. I have no shame in like buying things cheaper. I have no shame buying secondhand. I have no shame because I'm like, oh, this is good. Like this is the value of it. Why? Because I'm trying to invest my money. I want to, speak slowly. I know people always be like, you talk too fast. I'll slow it down. But living poor and then removing the shame from it is actually a very important thing. A lot of people who have accumulated wealth are very frugal, right? Are smart. They're smart with their money. They're like, hey, is this worth $5? Is this worth $50? Is this worth $5,000? What else can I buy? What is it am I buying with that money? Am I buying an experience? Am I buying my time, right? Am I buying a service? What is it? If you start thinking about it and say, what's it worth? And can I still get 80% of it for half the price? Can I get 90% of it for half the price, right? So that's the types of questions. And thank you for the hearts, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, I know. I have a 2001. I have a car from 2001. It went like 100,000 miles. Yeah, everyone needs to be frugal. And guys, like the sales of like the luxury lifestyle is just that. If someone's selling you the luxury lifestyle, they're selling you something, which means they want to try to get some of your money so they can make more for themselves. And they're like, oh, look at all the things that you can have. No, it's look at all the things they can have. Yeah, cars. I drive my cars in the ground. Like when you don't stop believing the hype, right? Look at the bottom line, that's one of the things that I'm always like, who do I want to take advice from? And who do I want to take advice from? I want to take advice from people who are more successful than me. And to me, I define success, there are many different ways to successful, but financially successful is people who have money in the bank. If someone's trying to give me advice and I look at them and I think, I wonder what their net worth is. I've gotten good at estimating it, just like there's a sense. And if I feel like their net worth's less than mine, why would I want to, why do I take advice from them? Like, they're like, oh, and I'm like, no one ever got rich buying whole life insurance. Like, just don't. I just don't know people who I respect and are wealthy and they're like, oh, how I made my money? I mean, I bought whole life insurance. This just doesn't happen, and so, things like that. And there's just like, I have some trigger points where I'm like, don't talk about that. The way to get wealthy. I'm an accumulator. Again, I know people win the lotteries. They have a bust like a blockbuster product, and they have a business that takes off or they sell it. But I'm a big believer in accumulating wealth, because you can do it at any point. You can do it with a lot of different careers. You can do it with a lot of different lifestyles. Anyone can accumulate. That's the thing that I'm trying to get to, is more people can accumulate than do that like one time, that do that single event. I'm not an event millionaire. There wasn't the one time, the one thing that happened. It's accumulating, right? I love the idea of accumulation because I feel like it's much more accessible, and all it takes is your action, your education, and time. Time, by the way, time is the secret ingredient. And even if you're older and you're like, oh shit, I wish I would have started, when I was 20 or even 30 or 40, you're going to live a long time. Medical advances are here. You're going to live a long time. Start today. It's not too late. It's not too late to start. It's not too late to start thinking about it, learning about it, talking about it, and then actually doing. So, does anyone, I don't know if people, I usually don't have that many people, so I'm not like, oh, does anybody have any questions? And again, I'm on it every day, because I want to be a place where, I don't just want to talk about money habits. Yeah, thank you. I don't just talk about it, right? I practice it. And by the way, everything I talk about, I actually do. And again, I'm all for, like, some people need to hire professional services, whether it's accountant for the business, a tax preparer, but I actually do everything. Why? Because I believe that doing it, like, that's part of my service mindset, is I want to serve by sharing my experience on what I do, and I don't outsource my money because, well, I enjoy it. And people are like, yeah, but you love it. I'm like, right, but I love it so much. I do so much research, and then I tell you the shortcut. I give you the answer because I've been doing it and I've been looking at it. Oh, you don't have to have, so here's, before you invest, it's actually not about savings. If you have if you have credit card debt, do not invest. You need to make sure you don't have credit card debt. So first of all, if you come to me and I look at your financial situation and you don't have any credit card debt, and you have income, you have cash coming in and less cash going out every month, I said you're ready to invest. You don't have to have a ton of savings. Now, I know people like emergency savings, and I'm all for it. But what I'm telling you is you start investing, especially in tax-deferred accounts. So today, it's before April 15th. If you want to I would say open an IRA today. If you have the money, like $1,000, you don't have to save before you invest. Save and invest. Invest now. Open that. Here's what's going to happen. If you open an IRA and open it for last year, because you have till April 15th, there's a special rule, only rule where the IRS allows you to like go back to last year, because you're going to be able to deduct against your taxes. Now, depending on your income situation. I always say, you know what, if you have so much income that you can't deduct your IRA and your taxes, then you're in good shape. Like, that's right. You can go back in time only till April 15th. You are ready to invest now. So open your IRA account and use that tax deduction to work to your advantage. Max it out if you can. That's $5,500 if you're under 50, $6,500 if you're over, and you are ready to invest now. You are ready to invest today. So don't wait. Don't wait for the future to come and say, I'm going to be ready to invest. You are ready today. I am giving you not just permission, but I'm telling you and I'm asking you to please do that. If you want a low cost, I'm a Vanguard girl. I know some people on Fidelity, either one's fine. I'm a Vanguard girl all the way. They are the lowest fees. That is just not me saying it. That is the sort of the well-known market research. Vanguard has the lowest fees. In terms of their mutual funds, you can open an IRA account with Vanguard. It's an individual retirement account, and get on the phone with them. If you're confused with the online application process, get on the phone with them and say, "Hey, help me out." And if they're super helpful. That is how I kind of walked my way through it. I literally called Vanguard at 22 and I was like, I want an IRA. What do I do? And the guy's like, fill out this application. And he's like, you got to pick a stock fund. And they can't really give you advice, but you're like, what kind of stock fund should I use? He's like, generally people use the S&P 500. And it was my very first investment at 22. I maxed out my IRA at the time, which was I think $2,000, but I was a grad student. I was making $6,000 $16,000 a year. Granted, I was married. It was my first husband. And, but he was making like 35,000, and we weren't making a lot, but each one of us was maxing out whatever retirement accounts we had. And we just lived like, we lived little. We lived small. We had used cars, Oh, my car cost $1,200 when I first bought it. I asked my dad for half of it. I was like, give me some money for my first car. That was a piece of junk. It was a 1981 Audi, whatever. It was already 10 years old, 20 years old at the time. Anyway, you are ready to invest today. Do not wait. Do not wait for the future. The only time I say don't is when you are paying double-digit credit card interest. If you're paying credit card interest in the 14, 15, 16, and higher percent, you need to like evaluate your cash flow, and you need to pay that off first, and you need to stop. You need to stop using credit cards for consumables. Just get it in your head. People, you got to pay it down. You got to pay it off, because do I ever stop talking? No, I don't stop talking. People need to listen to the money message, so I don't. And so that's the thing. That is the only thing. That's all right. Sometimes people just go away, which is fine. And so, there you go. You're welcome, everybody. Yes, the cost of credit is worse, right? That's right. You are really doing yourself a disservice if you're paying credit card interest. And it's and I know that we've normalized credit card interest, like everybody has it. That's not true. I've never paid credit card interest in my entire life, because it is that's really bad math. Like, that's really 20% more for everything that you buy. It's terrible. It's terrible. Stop buying things. So, I know that things happen, right? So if it's an emergency, if you didn't have all your ducks in a row and you fell into credit card debt because you had an unexpected job loss or unexpected medical expense, I get it. That's right. Use it. Credit card is a tool. Never use it as a way to finance your lifestyle. You need to do everything you can to avoid credit card interest. If you got yourself in that situation, make a plan to get out of it as fast as possible. Make that a priority, because no amount of investing will get you a return that's even close to what the credit card interest is eating. It's eating your money. Credit card interest is eating your money, so you need to stop. It's the only thing that would prevent someone from investing. That's right. And only I use credit cards. So I'm a credit card user. I love using my credit cards. It's just everything I pay off on time, right? Because I never spend more than I need. Like, I just run my entire life through credit cards. I get my points, I use gift cards. I get my Starbucks habit paid for by my Citibank thank you points. My American Express pays for like all my clothing. I get like the banana cards, and so, but you have to have the discipline to pay it off. And the way you do it is you automate it, and you keep money in the bank, and you never run out, right? And you spend way, way less than you make. So credit cards are a tool. I use them for that. Yeah, I use credit cards as a tool, but you have to have a mindset. It's not free money. I mean, I have American Express. There's no limit on it, right? Like, people go buy cars with American Express. And so the point is, it's like, but if you have a mindset of like, if I had $100,000, here's how I would spend it. That's why, Banana Republic rewards, but automate all your payments in full, right? And then, like, if you're on Mint every day, it's never going to be a surprise. It shows you how much balance you owe, right? Always have way more money in the bank. Some people don't, it's not a good credit card in terms of interest. Their interest rates are high. That's how they get you, right? But if you're disciplined and you just auto pay in full, there's really no reason why you can't use a credit card. And again, it's one of the tools that you use. And if you have a bunch of money, you need to know how to, use it. Don't just use up every single dollar that someone gets you, even if it's a loan, right? If it's borrowed. So, that's the thing. So, but that was really the answer to the invest. You are ready to invest. The only reason would be if you have, it just, again, you don't want to ever pay the interest rates on the credit card. You need to pay, it's no need to close it. Just make sure you pay it off every month. Just set it up automatically. Go on your Banana Republic card, go into your account, and just say auto payment, pay in full. and then that's just going to take money out of your bank at the end of the month, and you'll never pay any interest. You've got to get yourself in that situation, which includes a buffer, right? You need to have enough money in your checking account to always cover a month's worth of bills, just in case you like forget or get distracted, right? It's never like, I always say, don't let zero be your zero. Like, you can't just spend down your checking account down to zero and that's how you manage cash flow. I'm a big believer in having a buffer, and so maybe I'm not as efficient with my money, but I'm okay with it because my income is unpredictable. Bill, you've got to automate. Like, that's the first thing. You just watch it. You don't want to have to do anything. You don't want to write a check. You don't want to make no, just in my house. You don't want to write a check. You don't want to put a stamp on it. By the way, a check and a stamp and an envelope, that probably costs you $1 to send it. So call with a credit card, set up the auto bill payment, save yourself $1 every time instead of writing a check and putting a stamp on it. That's money while you're paying money for that, right? So automate everything and get yourself on, whether you use bill pay. I recommend either through a credit card, and again, because I manage my credit card, so most of the payments go on a credit card. So I just have to pay. Cash goes out less frequently out of your bank account when you have the credit card pay in full automated bill. So it's actually easier to manage. You're like, okay, on this day, I have a big chunk that's coming out of my account. Trolling, you know what? It's not that bad. I've had just some tremendous trolls in the past, and I'm very used to it. So I don't worry about it. And so that's the long answer to should you invest with savings. And so you're ready to invest now. The only time would be if you're not, say hello to Callie. See, this is my mini me, right? She looks just like me. So that's the message. All right, I gotta probably get going. Thanks everyone for joining, Sandy. Thanks, thank you. Thanks everybody for inviting your followers, for joining, for participating, and for your support and for your feedback. So yeah, come anytime. I know you're being super silly. Come anytime to my room again every single day, 7 days a week here at 10 a.m. Central, now on Daylight Savings Time. Yeah, thank you guys. I really do. I want everyone to take action to get to make progress in their financial situation. Yeah, you put Daddy's ring in my shirt. It's really funny. And so that's I just want to share what I know, because I recognized at some point that people don't know. People don't know that how money works. They don't know the math. They don't understand the concepts, and they're being stolen from by the financial industry, left and right. And I'm just done. I'm done with it. I have enough. I want to help. I want to help people. I help people in Chicago. I meet with anyone who's oh, can I get some financial advice? I'm yeah, I'll meet with you. How much? I'm I don't charge for that. I just want to give you some advice because, I'm not doing anything for you. I'm just sharing my knowledge. And eventually, part of what I'm doing is trying to figure out what don't people know, because I do want to develop a course, and next year I'll probably have a course, but all in good time. It's not I'm oh, I need that money to pay the bills. I want to develop a platform. I want to develop a way for people to learn all these things, but I'm learning myself. I'm learning what people don't know, because I was holy crap, I didn't realize nobody else knows this, and I don't want to keep it a secret. I've been learning this stuff for 20 years. So. Is your ring and Daddy's ring? Oh, is it hiding? It's hiding. All right, thank you guys so much. Yeah, it's a great city. It's cold, though. It's cold in the winter. We're just coming out of it. Every winter, I'm oh my God, I can't believe I live here. But it's beautiful. We're coming into the beautiful Chicago season of spring and summer and fall, and then the, shutdown of winter. It's a great city, though. It's much more affordable than the other two urban, the coasts. It's more affordable than the coast, for sure. And the people are super nice. So, thank you guys for joining. Again, you can find me on Twitter at joannazarach. That way, I sometimes get my notifications for people's Periscope off of Twitter. And then Snapchat. Find me at joannazarach, and that's a great place to ask me questions. Yeah, if you want to put a little quick video or anything, get on Snapchat. It's a great way of person-to-person communication, but also Twitter, whatever your jam is. I'm trying to get more and more into different social media. So thanks again. Thank you, Sandy. It was so fabulous to have you invite your followers. I appreciate it so much. And I'll see you guys either on your Periscopes or my Periscope, because I think that we all need more voices out there talking about money and how money works, and just to get people out of the rut. Like money, we live in the age of abundance. I'm sick and tired of everyone not having enough because they just don't know. And I want people who want to take action to have the knowledge that they can and the confidence that they can. So see you guys tomorrow. I'll be on 10ish tomorrow because of my client call. So, but here every single day, 7 days a week. Bye-bye!